Sometimes the graphs that we're looking at don't just go one way. Sometimes there's two different parts to them, and we need to make sure that we can write down what's happening at different times. So I've just got a few time distance graphs because they're really quite a good example of this. We were looking the other day at how if it was going up at a constant speed, we'd have a straight line graph increasing obviously by a constant amount. And graph number 1 is a really good example of this. We have a constant speed and it's going up with a constant gradient. However, number 2 is looking slightly different. That is actually the distance isn't increasing at all as time is going. So that would be maybe a pause or a stopping time. Perhaps they're just standing still for a long time at the same distance away from home, for etc. So number 3 is looking a little bit different. What's happened is they were going on for a set amount of time at a constant distance, and then they stopped and they didn't carry on going again. I'd like you to think about 4 and 5. I think they're quite similar to 3. Number 6 is a little bit different. They went at a constant speed, then they stopped, and then they went off, and it looks like, do you think faster or slower after they went? So if I put in my little line here, perhaps I had that line over there and then kind of compared it to that line over there, which do you think was faster? Good, they started out quite quickly. This is steeper than this over here, and then they stopped and then they carried on at a slower pace. Perhaps they'd been running, they needed a break and then they went slower, or maybe they were just driving somewhere and they turned from a 60 kilometer zone to a 50 kilometer zone. I mean, there's lots of different things that could have happened there. So when we have something like this, if we were going to find our lines, we would need to think about what these times were. We'd need to think about what these equations were and how we could write it that each bit is going to be different. Thinking of this would maybe between 0 and some amount here. We don't know what it is, but if I wanted to say it was between those two things, I'd say 0 was less than x was less than, maybe this was 10 minutes, maybe you were given that. So you could say it was between those two times. So that is the kind of thing we're going to be looking at. I'd like you to have a little think and see if you can come up with anything that would be useful. See you tomorrow.